You're watching National Streaming Sports. Over 20 podcasts, 70 shows, and a 3.5-star rating on Roku TV. Check out nessp.info for direct links and deals on the site BetUs for 125% off your first three deposits in NFL and college odds for upcoming games, Major League Baseball and NBA futures, and boxing wagers. Also, check out Fanatics, sportswear for your favorite teams, and also network merchandise, retro, Northeast Streaming Sports, National Streaming Sports, Big Football, and the Mac and Jack Sports Show t-shirts. Coffee mugs are coming soon. Check it out.
I mean, you can see right now, without LeBron, Lakers are struggling.
Let me tell you about a team I hate, all right? I know the Dallas Cowboy fan is here, so I had to make sure he knew how much I hate this team.
I'm ready.
I've often said that the people who run baseball, they try very hard to ruin it.
I'm from Brooklyn. I don't have a problem saying it to his face. Oh, from Brooklyn. Hey, isn't he?
Well, it's Wednesday. We're at the midweek here today on the Roku channel on National Streaming Sports. Welcome to the professional. Let me get this right, because you know something, Keith Engel has a problem with this, and I think I do too. So it's the Keith, just for you to know before you come on, it's a National Professional Streaming Sports Show. So that's what it's called. I don't even know if that makes any sense, but that's what it is. So how you doing, James? How you doing, Keith? I'm your host, Mac, with all our great co-hosts, of course, Bo Crouch, one of the best in the business, as is Keith Engel, and my sidekick on a lot of my shows, Jay Train himself. So, folks, thanks for tuning in. And we got a lot to talk about today, guys. And I'm going to start right with the two games that we haven't covered yet. The first game, I want to talk a little bit about the Commanders upsetting the Cincinnati Bengals. And I wasn't shocked, but I definitely was surprised. I thought the Bengals would win by 10 points at least. But Washington's offense matched the Bengals' offense, and maybe the Bengals' defense is worse than the Commanders. I don't know. It's a surprise, but I know one thing. The Bengals aren't going to Super Bowl with that defense, Keith. What can they do to change it around if they can?
Well, I'm not sure what the answer is there. I mean, this is a team with a lot of talent that I think on both sides of the football that's not playing to their potential. And when you have that situation, you can only make so many moves. You can only bench so many guys. You can't bench an entire defense. It's hard to change coordinators. I mean, sometimes teams will switch up their play calling duties in these situations, and maybe they need to do something along those lines just to shake it up a little bit. I mean, this team's in desperation mode now at 0-3. I mean, we say it's early in September, right? But 0-3. I'm not sure who they have this week. I think they should win this week, if I'm not mistaken. But this doesn't bode well for this team. This division looks, pretty even. Pittsburgh 3-0, right? Baltimore, I think, will rebound from their slow start as well. And the Browns are just terrible, but as we know from the Giants game last week. But I would hope this team rebounds. I feel like sometimes they just think, we got Joe Burrow and he'll figure out a way to get us a win at the end, and they put themselves in bad positions to actually win ball games.
Keith, I would normally take down the banner, but after insulting my Giants like that, I might keep that up the whole show with the chart.
Make the playoffs. I'm very happy they won the game finally. So
I know you are. Bo, this is one of Bo's charts that he has here with the biggest surprises. Minnesota, KC, the Steelers, Buffalo. We'll get to Buffalo in a second. And, of course, the Seahawks. listen, KC, it's not surprising to me. Pittsburgh, I wasn't sure. I mean, I thought Russell Wilson would be the starting quarterback, but right now Justin Fields is playing a very good at quarterback. He's not the reason why they're winning. I think the defense is, but he sure is helping them out and playing really well. And Minnesota's off the charts. Seattle, it might be because of the schedule. I'm not sure yet, but still, you're 3-0. You're 3-0. I don't care who you're playing. And the biggest surprise, and we're going to get to that right now with Bo, since this is slide. I mean, that was part of the agreement when he came out. I would have to talk to him when I put the slide. So anyway, Bo, Buffalo, and Josh Allen seems relaxed, and I think there's a couple reasons for that. One, he's getting older, right? He's been there. He's been in big games, and he's just a great quarterback. But two, Stephon Diggs isn't there anymore. And I'm sorry, I'm going to say it. When he was there, Josh didn't look as comfortable as he does now, as opposed to the quarterback for the Texans, who looks a little bit more stressed than he normally does. I know one player doesn't make a win or a loss, but it can affect you in the huddle, and it can affect you in the sidelines. What are your thoughts on that? First, Mo, Buffalo playing lights out on offense and defense. And secondly, Stephon Diggs isn't there, and they seem to be playing better.
Yeah, I mean, so the biggest surprise, I guess, of Buffalo is the defense, right? Because when they lost players over the offseason, you thought this team was going to take a step back. Them playing decent on offense without Diggs isn't a surprise because they stopped using him halfway through the year. He was on the roster. He was even on the field. They just stopped throwing him the ball. So, I mean, it looked like they were getting ready for life without Diggs anyway. But this defense somehow playing better than it did last year with what looks like less people on this roster. That's probably the biggest surprise there. And I mean, honestly, if we're talking about it in that way, they look like the most complete team in the league right now.
I would agree with that. I think Baltimore's got their work cut up for them playing Buffalo next. James, let's get to the surprises, because here we go, and these are 0-3 teams. Now, the Bengals to me, they're putting a lot of this on Joe Burrows. Joe Burrows doesn't play defense. He doesn't play special teams.
Neither do the Bengals.
That's true. but I mean, come on. I mean, how, the quarterback plays against the opposing team's defense. He didn't play against Jaden Daniels, James.
No. He played against the defense. Obviously, you can say both defenses weren't great because they both put up 30 burgers on each other. I just think, and he had an outstanding game. I mean, he had 127 passer rating, over 300 yards. I mean, and 3 TDs, no interceptions. So you really can't blame the offense. I don't know about the run game, how well it did, but I would say that it's a disappointment. I think you're looking a few points. I mean, what did they win by 5 points this game? I mean, they lost by 5 points this game. So, one possession scores and they could win the game. It's just that close. So I don't know. It's hard to really tell because the offense of Washington didn't really put up great numbers. It was not like they put up outstanding numbers. Maybe it's just the turnover ratio, but he didn't turn the ball over. It's really questionable. It's just hard. And then the one thing you probably can attest to, or blame this on, is that maybe Jamar Chase not being there playing to his contract, and them not playing in the preseason together. Poor chemistry. They're starting to just get it together. I think this is the team of these 3 teams that you have on here. This is a team that probably will right the ship, and I think at some point they'll get it together and figure it out and be a contender later on in January. But it's just still baffling to see how this has happened, but this is football.
I mean, the Bengals start slow every year, though. So, I mean, that's not something that we're unused to seeing. We're not used to seeing the Jags not knowing how to play football at all.
That's true. And I was just going to get to Keith on that. Keith, I mean, I had some reservations about Lawrence. Not that he wouldn't be a good quarterback, not that he wouldn't be the quarterback for the Jags and that he might have a long career. The expectations that this guy was going to be the next, Joe Montana, that he was generational, and watching him at Clemson, and I know you did too, his technique of the long release, right? He doesn't bring it when he throws it. He brings it down and up. It takes another couple seconds sometimes. He's not the most graceful. It's funny. He can run, but he can just drop the ball too. It's just weird. How he is there, Keith. So Trevor Lawrence, I will be there, but will a head coach? Will Peterson be there if they're, say, 0-4, 0-5, 0-6, or 1-5? Is he still going to be there?
No, because this was a disappointment last year as well. Sorry, and I think Doug Peterson is maybe the most coach on the hottest seat right now to get fired during the season, and it could come as soon as next week if they don't right the ship. In my mind, this is a team loaded. You talked about the Bengals being loaded with talent. This team has talent too. I mean, Lawrence, for whatever we think of him, he's still, in the top half of quarterbacks in the league at worst. Etienne is a good running back. Maybe the line needs some help because they have given up 11 sacks, but part of that might be Lawrence holding the ball too long too, which I've seen him do. And the defense just fell apart last week. I mean, you can't. They look like they gave up last week against the Seahawks. So. I think it was against the Seahawks. That was who did they play? Buffalo. Sorry.
Yeah, they're playing the Bills. They got absolutely smacked.
They did. And again, they're playing all facets of the game, as well as the Bills are playing well in all facets of the game. This team's playing poorly in all facets of the game, and that comes down to coaching. And I think of the teams that are off to a bad start, he's the most likely to get fired soon.
Yeah, I mean, they're bottom 8 in every category.
On defense, yes. And it's surprising because, they did have a good – I don't know what happened. I don't know if people left. I don't know what happened there because the last couple of years, their defense was pretty good. They kind of gave up. I agree, Keith. They gave up as bad as the Raiders gave up. They were just – it's like they didn't want to tackle anybody. It was crazy. So that's it for that. So let's talk a little bit about tomorrow night's game. Danny, I guess Danny's a Giant fan, or he doesn't like the Cowboys, one or the other.
He's busted. I think Danny's giving me the business there a little bit.
Is he? Okay, all right. Well, Danny, I'm a Giants fan, so take it easy on me, please. Listen, I think that Dallas is beatable if you can get a running game going, if you can control a clock, but your defense is going to have to play all 4 quarters. You can't go into the fourth quarter, James, and say, okay, we got this game won, because Dak Prescott is a good quarterback. I don't care what anybody says, and he'll tear you up if you're not putting pressure on him, if you're not covering him. And, no matter what, he spread the ball around too. He didn't just go to his number one receiver last week. There was a couple guys I didn't even know they had that caught touchdown passes. So, it's gonna take a 4-quarter effort by the Giants to win it. My heart says Giants. My head says the Cowboys should win this.
I don't know, Mac. I'm gonna have to go with the Giants on this one. I like the way they played the last game, and I like as a total team effort. Looked like they're trying to get out of that NFC least category and trying to get to the top. You're not far behind them. What is they whatever. You're both 1-2, right? You're tied, right?
Yep.
Yeah. There's just no running game in Dallas. Dallas doesn't have a running game at all. So I like Dak against your secondary, but that's all you got. There's no running game. I think you do have a decent running game. I think you have a excellent wide receiver and a rookie in Malik Neighbors, and you have some other guys there. And I think you have the opportunity. It's probably close. I think the game will be close, but I like to see at home. I like the Giants taking the Dallas Cowboys that seem to be limping to New York.
You know something? You keep talking like that, you're going to stay my co-host on the shows that we do.
Well done, James.
Yes. So and that check I wrote you is going to bounce, just to let you know.
Well, go Dallas.
We all got that.
Bo, you know what worries me the most about this is what's worried me all year is the young defensive backs for the Giants, right? I mean, listen, I know we got a decent pass rush. Maybe we get to them. Maybe we don't. Maybe we'll put pressure on them. They're definitely going to need help on the number one receiver over there. Dallas has Ferguson. I mean, Dallas has a lot of people they can throw to. Hopefully Jones starts using his tight ends a little bit more and doesn't just go to our young star there. But, I think the matchup is going to be, it's going to be the defensive backfield, I think, against the Dallas wide receivers. And I don't know. I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a real long day for Jones, especially if that pass rush can get through the line, which, let's be honest, the offensive line still isn't great. But yeah, I mean, there is a path for them to win. The Cowboys look like they are very beatable. And for sheer entertainment value, I hope you do. Because just watching Cowboy Nation melt down is enjoyable every week. So
yes, it is. If
you guys can get this thing done, that'd be amazing. I don't think you have enough to do it, though. I think the Cowboys get this.
I think they do too, Keith. I mean, listen, I think that the Giants have an outside chance. They're a terrible home team. They're great on the road. I mean, if they were playing in Dallas, I think Giants might pull it off. But if Dallas goes 0-3, can you imagine how, just off last week, the players, the fans, I mean, wow, it would be awesome.
Yeah, they'd be 1-3. Listen, I did pick the Giants to make the playoffs, as Danny Fuller never hesitates to tell me every time they get beat. When it's going to be hard for me to take the Giants in this game. I think the Cowboys won 9 of their last 10 against the Giants. Most of them in blowout fashion, or many of them in blowout fashion anyway. Yeah. Giants need to play a perfect game. They need to play a perfect game almost every week to win. I mean, Daniel Jones can't turn over the football. He's got to not take sacks. They can't turn over the football at all. They've got to convert third downs. They got to get off the field on third downs on defense. And you've got a team again, a bit of a desperation mode in the Cowboys. They don't want to fall to 1-3. And, Jerry Jones doesn't want the league to force him to sell the team like Daniel Snyder, because he's mismanaged it so badly. But as much as I'd like to see the Giants win a division game here for my playoff, Carlos, was Carlos here? Did I miss him?
No, up higher. He says Bills versus Seahawks in the Super Bowl. I like the enthusiasm.
Oh, yes. So I'll take the Cowboys to win this game, and probably handily. I'm guessing they can't control that.
I think they're going to beat this. The spread is only 4.5. I mean, Giants are getting 4.5. I think Dallas wins by at least a touchdown. I think it was 40-0, 40-17 the last year, and the Giants, I don't think have beaten the Cowboys since Eli Manning, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, it's been a long time. So we'll see what happens. I mean, listen, I would love for it to happen. I really would. But
if there's an upset here, then my playoff prediction, I think, is seriously in play.
Yeah, 2-2, and it's a conference game, definitely
a division game at that. Yes.
Well, think about how many upsets there's already been this year. I mean, anything's possible.
It is
3 weeks.
It is. I mean, if they had a field goal kicker against the Commanders and they won, they would be like in first place or something crazy. I don't know, but anyway, it is what it is.
To be fair, that was my favorite stat of the week: is to score 3 touchdowns, not give up a touchdown, and still lose is a phenomenal stat. Like,
never happened.
You almost have to try.
Never ever happened.
Yes. Yep. I mean, talk about bend don't break. I mean, yeah, that was ridiculous. Anyway, I don't feel so bad after all the points they put up against Cincinnati. That's for sure.
And by the way, Daniel Jones played pretty good in that game against the Redskins.
Last 2 games, he's had 5 touchdowns. Last 2 games, 5 touchdowns. I think Jalen Hurts has had only 3 all year. So I mean, what are you going to say? Anyway,
give him a weapon. Who knows?
Yeah. Give him another weapon. Yes, and hopefully it's not a gun, because that may how we win. If we start shooting, at the bus, maybe. Anyway, that's probably wrong to say. So anyway, I'm going to get into a college story, and then we'll jump back in the NFL. University of Las Vegas University, University of LV University, however you want to say it. Their quarterback over there, Matthew Sluka, decides he's not going to play anymore because he didn't get what he was promised, which I guess was $100,000. He's only gotten $3,000. He's done playing for Vegas for the year, and he's gonna he's gonna redshirt and go somewhere else. I didn't know you could redshirt just because you weren't playing. I guess that's a new thing. Yeah. I thought it was. I guess you can. I didn't know that. I thought it was because you were a freshman and you were hurt. You could do that, but I guess you can do it. In your 6th year now if you want. It's very interesting.
Is that him or me?
No, that's Mac.
That's
Mac.
Oh,
he's stunned by this whole thing.
The best thing that has ever been invented. Anyway, I watched a show called Coast to Coast today, and the Philly sports guy said he's 100% behind the player. He should get what he needs to get. And listen, there's no contracts in college right now. There's no red shirting in professional football. You can't say, okay, I'm done playing and I'm going to wait until the end of the season because you're going to get fined, and you're going to get fined a lot of money. Well, guess what? This is what I say to Sluka. I don't know how you do this, Keith, but listen, I imagine he's playing under a scholarship right now, right? I imagine that's what he's playing under.
Sure. He was a transfer quarterback this year, and I'm sure he's got a scholarship. Absolutely.
I would fine him. So, wait a minute. I would fine him for that scholarship, and then I would fine him for the scholarship that was taken away from the other person so that he could get there, and we'll see if he doesn't play then. I mean, there's got to be some kind of repayment here. If the pros, which is basically free agency, if the pros can't do that without getting fined, I think the college players shouldn't be able to do that also.
Oh, I do think there should be some kind of rules in place where they can pull a scholarship for number one. Yes. Whether you can do something else and make it pay for somebody else's, I doubt you're ever going to make that case stand up. But this is there's no winners here. I don't agree with the player, and the NCAA has gotten what they wish. This is what they've come to brought to. I can't get the phrase out now. Come to pass because of the way they've approached all of this. It's not just the NIL money. It's not just the pay for play in general. It's all of it combined. The transfer portal, where you're a free agent. You can't be a free agent every single year in the NFL, and you can in college now. You can just walk away from any deal you have.
Yeah.
But if the school doesn't live up to it, then the kid's going to walk away. The red shirt rules, as you said, they were put into play decades and decades and decades ago for injured players and redshirt freshmen. To kind of sit out seasons, and it's gotten much more lax. You've got guys not just in 6 years. Mac, the Hurricanes have got a guy who's in his 9th year playing tight end. It's gotten ridiculous with some of this stuff, and I've tried to focus so much on my college football show in the last month on the field of play, and now I'm sucked right back into this with this and the Pac-10, the Pac-12 stories, and the Mountain West being raided, and a bunch of other stories going on that I'm right back to having to dive into stuff off the field. And this is, look at, I don't feel bad for Nevada, Las Vegas. I mean, they knew what they were doing when they brought him in and took him away from another school, and they didn't pay him. So now who's at fault here? Everybody's at fault. Who loses? All his teammates. This is one of the best teams in the Mountain West right now. One of the most improved teams in the country. At 3-0, and had beaten 3 decent football teams off to bad starts, but 3 decent football teams. And he leaves these guys in a lurch. And it sucks for them. They're the guys left behind and really hurt by this. And this is just more college football. This is what it is. And we have to hold our nose and watch the games.
Bo, you brought up a great point on the show about Ohio State, right? I mean, you're talking the starting team is making like 22. Well, let's put it this way: there's $22 million out on that field playing
20 plus,
and that's not counting the rest of the roster either. So we don't really know how much is
60.
out there. It's
60 million total on Ohio State.
And if Ohio State doesn't win the national championship, does anybody get a refund? That's all I want to know.
No.
Well, you know, and it's funny because the thing with this quarterback sitting out, like he left his school of Holy Cross, right, to come play there because he had an assistant coach promise him the money. They give him $3,000 of it and then tell him to pound sand. Now, who knows how that came down, right? But if nothing else, the kid gets to learn a valuable lesson. Get it in writing. So
Right.
look at you being in school. You just got to learn something for free or for, $97,000.
Now, it is unclear to me whether this is NIL money, which is the way it's being reported, is that it's NIL money, or it's money because remember, these schools have a $20 million budget for all the sports combined to be able to go out and just offer kids money to come to their program. So it's still unclear to me which it is. It's been portrayed as NIL money. And if that's the case, I'm
There
so
should be a
wrong.
contract.
Well, right. There should be contract both ways, Bo.
Exactly.
No matter what it is. And we talked about that. Mac and Jack and I would talked about on these shows a lot. Where was I going with this? Oh, the fact that the NIL money, the fact that it's supposed to be third parties that are in charge of this money is so far out of, so wrong. It's unbelievable. As you said, it's an assistant coach that promised him the money. Well, how's that possible if it's third parties that are in charge of where this money gets spent? I mean, they're raising the money, but it's the schools all along have been saying where it's going to go or where it should go. And why this hasn't gotten paid, I don't know. I'm very interested to hear the rest of this story, why he hasn't gotten his money.
Me either. I mean, but you know something? I don't care. I just don't care. Listen, James, if you're a GM in the NFL right now, and this is how this guy handles it, are you drafting him? I'm not.
Well, the player wouldn't have came because you didn't give him the money.
The point is, how do I know that halfway through the first year, James, he says, well, guess what? I want a different contract, right?
Okay, let me say this. If I'm the Atlanta Falcons and we had this NIL back when Michael Vick was the number one guy, if he did this and I still had the opportunity to draft him, I would draft him still because I'm just going to figure it out. We're going to work that out because, I mean, you see how that, I mean, obviously it had some negative connotations during that situation, but who knew? I would have taken him. I just don't know. I don't know how this, I mean, obviously Keith said this guy's pretty good. And I think this is where some contractual stuff, like you guys said, should come into play. And it should make demands and set precedents that, like, okay, if you don't play this, like you said, Mac, we get some of this money back. We get, like, okay, you play X amount of games, that's what you get paid for. We take the rest. And it's going to be, it's already a open door right now for kids to just do whatever it is. You don't have any rules. So this is what I don't blame him because the door is open for him to do it. I blame the system. Not, they obviously this is still new. They don't really know what they're doing with this right now. And it allows for a kid like this. I mean, obviously you should have some sort of scruples to say, I'm going to stick with my team. I'm not going to stick my teammates out like that. But I mean, it is what it is. He doesn't. The door is open. You should think like, okay, this guy may not have the scruples, or another player may not have those scruples. So I got to have ironclad contracts to say, I'm going to have you for 2 years and play. A 2-year deal. I mean, we think most kids are in school. Like Keith said, some guy is playing in Miami for 9 seasons, man. I mean, he's probably
1 year in Miami.
Not with Miami, but just in college. I mean, you can make more money if you're going to be some scrub in the pros or don't even play. You can at least get some money, collegiately somewhere. So I mean, this is the minor leagues.
To be
And
fair,
these guys are getting paid money.
we did actually see this in the pros, though. He just happened to dance shirtless through the end zone, giving up the deuces. But he had a contract, and he just bounced out. So, I mean, it's not like we haven't seen it.
But I think there is legal action on that pending there. I don't think they're going to just let him do that, Bo. I mean, anyway.
I don't know if this will be the impetus for contracts or not. It may take this happening to a really big name school and player, the same type of situation. This isn't going to be the last time we see this, right?
No, of course not.
I mean, everything's a copycat league. And once one kid sees this, he goes, hey, wait a minute, I'm going to do the same thing and save a year of eligibility and go play somewhere else next year. And you're going to see what's really sad, as I talked about, I wanted to focus on the field, and we got Alabama, Georgia coming up this weekend, and this is going to be the focus here, and it's going to be the focus of my show. And that's what's really sad. And that's what college football's come to. So
how much money, how much money was it that he was promised?
100,000.
$100,000. Yeah.
And they gave him 3,000.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Oh.
Maybe they put it in
I don't know, Mac. I might have said too. If you promised me $100,000, you gave me 3.
Yeah,
No,
I mean that's the thing, right?
Listen, if he's that good, he's not going to get endorsement deals. If he's that good, I mean, he's not going to get paid in
No, but
pros.
think about
If
it
he's
this way.
that good, but Bo, I'm just saying, there's got to be some personal. I mean, we say, okay, I do the same thing. I wouldn't. I mean, because I think of my team. All right, that's
Oh,
me.
no, but think about it this way. Think about it this way. So you have someone going to advertise for this show. They promise you $100K. They give you 3. You're not promoting them the rest of the season on this show. You're going to be like, yeah, that's cute. Thanks for playing. Also, no.
Right. But I mean, I would have something in writing also, Bo. I wouldn't just say, right. I mean, that only makes sense. Right. Right. Exactly. Right back.
Mac, look, I sold cars once, and we had this Nissan. It was back in '97. It was a Nissan truck that was for five. I sold cars.
Oh, I thought you said you
sold. Sold.
Right.
This is going to take me off the show.
Talk about
I sold cars. No, there's no way. No, but the truck was about back in '97. It was about $5,999. But when you get there, if you don't read the fine print that there's no air condition, there's in Louisiana, there's no power windows, there's no power anything. I'm not going to buy that vehicle. I don't want to I have a bait and switch. That's kind of what this is a bait and switch. I don't want you to tell me that I'm going to get this amount of money. I come play for you, and here we are. You give me fish and chips, man. I mean, that's terrible.
I don't know if the coach is supposed to be promising you any money anyway. That's a whole another discussion. But, I
mean, the coaches are part of your recruiting staff, though. So, I mean, if you're the kid, you think something they tell you holds some weight.
I don't know if a coach can promise money. I don't know the rule on that.
Well,
that's all I'm saying.
By the way, they probably can't, but they do. That's two different
things.
What they can do and what they do or are supposed to do is two different things or three different things, whatever that was.
Great point, AC.
Forever.
Great point, AC. There you go. There you are. Get the money, then go play. I mean, that only makes sense.
Well, especially before leaving your school, right? Like I would want something saying, hey, I'm actually going to see this.
Right. But he played at Holy Cross. I mean, nobody knew him. I mean, I didn't know him. I mean, I didn't know who this guy was.
Not till he got here because he set a bunch of records at FBS 1, 1A, whatever we call the next level.
Yeah.
He set a bunch of passing records at Holy Cross, and he's a good player, but,
Yeah.
He's
Holy Cross.
Smells good for everybody.
It's not like he's going up against Alabama and Georgia and these other teams.
No.
I don't know. Like in any scenario, like again, who knows exactly how this went down, but in any scenario, if you short me 97% of what you promised me, I'm not following through on whatever project that was.
That's true. That's true. Let's talk a little bit. Speaking of not following through or following through too much, Brett Favre reveals at a Ways and Means committee, congressional committee, that he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And listen, I personally, I get it. I understand that any kind of disease that can disable your mind or your body is a terrible disease. But I got a couple questions about this. First, he's there not because he's done something good. He's going before a committee because he took millions of dollars from the welfare office or organization down in Mississippi and decided to redo I think it was Mississippi University's volleyball
Southern
facilities.
Miss. Yeah, Southern
and
Miss.
Allegedly, Jack. Allegedly, so you won't get sued like Shannon Sharp.
Not allegedly. It is not allegedly. He testified to this. When he testifies to it, it's no longer allegedly. So he took this money and he donated it to the school. And his daughter was a player at that school. So that happened back then. So that did happen. Secondly, he decided to, and I'm going to say invest. Okay, he said he gave this money to this organization that said they had a cure for CTE, for the concussion thing. Of course, that was allegedly. They didn't have a cure, but I can imagine that if you invest in this, you would pretty much you're like one of the shareholders, right? And you could make, if this is true, I mean, there's a lot of money to be made off of this. So the biggest problem I have with this is when he said that he didn't know where the money came from, that he didn't know it came from the Welfare Commission. Now, if somebody gives me $10 million, I'm not going to take that money and say, oh, well, thank you, and just go along my merry way. I mean, I know where that money came from. So to me, that's a lie. He knew exactly where the money came from. And to say he didn't is just either he's just dumb, which I don't think he is, or he knows what's going on and where the money came from. I tried to say this to Jack on my morning show, and he said, well, in a class action lawsuit, sometimes you just get money in the mail. I said, no, Jack, the class action lawsuit thing. My second,
you just described.
The second thing I said to him was that no,
Lawsuit
you have to sign up with this class action lawsuit to get your $5. Okay, you have to do that. You're not going to get millions, as Keith said. But anyway, and then he reveals now he has Parkinson's while he's testifying, and I didn't know what I was doing because I have Parkinson's disease, and maybe that's bad to say, guys, but it's just self-serving to me. So those are the three things I'm throwing at you. First, did he know? Secondly, I mean, he testifies that he does this. And third, he says, well, now I have Parkinson's disease. And one more thing to throw at you. He says he's had like thousands of concussions over his career during the games. Producer Linda figured out that would be 4.5 concussions every game. So,
well,
anyway.
I would rule it out. But, at the same time, everything you just described, the way you laid it out, means Ohtani should have been suspended.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Just $10 million appearing and you don't ask questions? I feel like...
I see. I get you now.
I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, would you take millions of dollars and not know where it's coming from? I mean, who knows? I mean, is it a mob? Is it what's going on? Is somebody, what's going on? Am I laundering money? I mean, what's happening here?
No. I would ask where this money came from and what do you expect me to do with it and what do you expect for it in return?
Yeah.
Right.
Because people are just handing you $10 million for nothing.
Right.
People hound you $1,000 for nothing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Well, nobody will give me $10. I mean, and never mind asking, they just won't give it to me. So okay. So second, I mean, yeah, you're helping out the university by rebuilding their volleyball facility. I get it. But with your daughter playing on the team at the time, looks a little fishy, right? I mean, right?
Yeah, this whole thing has smelled bad since the very beginning of the story. And before we ever knew about Parkinson's or whatever. And again, I have sympathy for him. This is not a fun thing. I know people that have gone through this, several people, and it's not a fun thing to live with. And it gets worse as you go on. But it does feel a little weird that this is when he decides to bring it up. And I know he found out about this diagnosis recently, but it feels like a play for sympathy or a way to kind of explain away what I did or didn't do, because maybe I have some mental deficiencies now.
Right.
So it does feel a little weird, the whole timing of all of it.
His mind was clear when he was texting the governor when he asked if the media would find out about this. Come on, man, that's just crazy. What, I mean, it's just the text messages, man. And everybody said they were guilty, and you're saying you're not guilty. I mean, come on, man, your mind's very clear. This is very calculated.
Before I disparage this poor guy with Parkinson's any further, I'd like to point out I'm only allegedly on this show right now. I'm not.
I mean, listen, again, and,
on this show.
if you look at concussions, you don't have to play sports to get concussions. You can get it from whiplash. Michael J. Fox, he has Parkinson's disease. He didn't play football or box. It's not just because This is not the only reason why you get Parkinson's disease. It can make it worse a lot faster, as we saw with Muhammad Ali and a few other people. I mean, I get that. But, to me, I like, me personally, as a football fan, I love Brett Favre. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks ever. I think he's one of the toughest quarterbacks ever. Off the field, he seems like a decent guy. I just think that he saw something here that could help his daughter and that maybe be able to turn into maybe an investment for him. And maybe he was going to help pay things. I don't know what he was thinking. But he hasn't been charged yet, guys. So I'm being fair now. He hasn't been charged with anything yet. And I think this was part of their probing and finding out whether they should charge him. And I don't think he did too good of a job defending himself, to be honest with you. I really don't.
He did pay back. He said over $1 million, but that still leaves, I don't know, roughly 9. I don't do math very well, but
right. Right. So
and again, I have sympathy. I have no doubt the Parkinson's and the CTE and his football career and the beating he took has all played into that. But to me, it's unrelated to this other thing, as kind of James was pointing out before. I don't see the correlation in the two anyway whatsoever.
Yeah, it makes you wonder how it came up for him to disclose that.
I think he
probably.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I hope my wife's not listening right now.
We've seen some people that are getting a lot of trouble. All of a sudden, they show up in wheelchairs and stuff like that. And they're kind of looking for a little sympathy from a jury or a committee or whatever, which is basically what this is, like a jury to decide where to go with this. So let's talk about a little bit about Travis Kelce and his unproductive year so far. I get that, they're saying that they're trying to get the young receivers involved more, so maybe they're not going to him as much more. I think if you want to win and Kelce is at 100%, you're throwing the ball at Kelce. I don't care. The man is one of the best of all time at it. I just don't think, and Todd McShay agrees with me. I don't agree with him. He agrees with me. It's great. Anyway, Todd McShay comes out and he says, this isn't the same Travis Kelce of 2 years ago, right? He's out off season instead of working out. This is the Taylor Swift effect in some way. He's going around to concerts. He's going to Wimbledon. He's not really doing what he normally does. The guy is a competitor, a warrior. I mean, the guy 2 years ago, even if he's covered, you're throwing the ball to him, right? He's going to make that catch. He's going to do it. Now, I think he's only got like eight receptions for 69 yards, no touchdowns. And I think this is why Patrick Mahomes may be having a little rough go of it this year. Maybe it's not because, he's throwing to the wide receivers because he wants to. Maybe he has to, guys. And what do you think about that?
I kind of agree with that. I mean, he's not as fast as he used to be either. I mean, age does get us all.
He's 34 years old. He's got a lot of miles on him and a lot of hard miles because he's been a big part of this offense and takes a lot of big hits. And listen, it could be the distractions off the field, I'm sure, not helping. But to me, that's an easy way to target this when you've got a 34-year-old tight end, one of the best of all time, and he's just maybe reaching the end of the road or, the twilight of his career, if not the end of the road. Yep. And he may bounce back too because, listen, I've seen Travis Kelce slump a bit, and this whole team slumped during the regular season at different times the last 2 or 3 years. And when the lights come on for the big games, they come alive and he's come alive. So I'm not ready to write him off yet either.
Yeah, I mean, we watched Gronk do it too.
Yeah.
Right? Like Playoff time? All right, here we go. Some classic Gronk. During the season, he's like, yeah, no, I sent in a video of me running because I wasn't going to run.
Right. Right.
I mean, he is 34. I mean, at some point we hit a wall. Some point we hit a cliff, and either it's a drastic fall or it's just a slight fall. It depends on the angle. I just think that at 34, I mean, and all the things, he's not really. I can't say you can't still be productive. I think he can be productive, but a guy that's getting 1,000 yards every year, 15 touchdowns, that's just going to be tough. That's going to be tough to do, especially considering Kansas City's still trying to figure it out. Even though they're figuring it out and they're winning,
Yeah.
everybody's giving them their best too at the same time. Everybody wants to beat the champ. Everybody wants to take the champ down. And then he's not like Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez is always focused. He doesn't seem focused right now. I think his focus is more so, like you said, he's got the mustache, he's got the new girlfriend, all the limelight. I mean, he's always like the attention, but he's always been a stud as well. And I think he seems to be just falling off a little bit. But it'd be interesting to see how well he does down the stretch. I think I could see a 700, 800 yard season. Maybe 5 to 6 touchdowns.
Yeah.
Well, what do Rocky's trainers say? Women weaken legs, and I mean, this is listen. This is why you don't go out with women when you train. This is why you don't do. Listen, I agree with a lot what you guys said here. I also think that this is his last year. If I remember, he said this was probably his last year. If it is, I would imagine you. Huh?
He just signed an extension.
I know he did. I thought he said this is his last year. I don't know. Was it a 2-year extension, Bo, or a 3-year extension? 3-year extension. Well, you got 3 more years to go. So I don't know. I listen. I think he looks more like Taylor Swift's father than her boyfriend right now with that mustache and everything. But I just listen. I think what happens is you are influenced by the people around you, right? So either you're doing certain things or you're not. But something, you could say that, but there are a lot of football players out there that have pretty famous wives, and they're still competing, and they're still trying hard, they're still practicing hard.
I want to see where he is after 10 games. Again, very little work in the preseason. He's still getting in game shape. And
I like the Rounders quote here.
Yeah,
I do.
I like what James had to say, and Danny at the same time below on his comment was kind of saying the same thing. There's a target on his team's back. There's a target on Kelsey's back, probably specifically, because I've said forever when Tyreek Hill left, I said it's Travis Kelce that makes this offense go, not Tyreek Hill. It was Travis Kelce, and it always has been. And they're figuring out different ways to win right now, but it's been hard because they don't have the guy who makes that offense going in full gear. And I fully expect he will. Is he going to be the Travis Kelce of old? No. Will he be a productive football player this year? Yes.
Okay, I like AC's comment better than all of those right now. So
which one?
Yeah, I like that one the best.
Line right there. I might steal that one.
A little bit about the Oakland A's. Now, Oakland, to me, I kind of feel sorry for them in a way because they had the Raiders there, and the Raiders, their stadium was sold out when the Raiders played there. There's no doubt that the fans love the Raiders. The A's, different story, right? The owner right now is the son of the guy who really ran the A's, and he's born into millions and billions of dollars, and he's kind of a penny pincher, and he doesn't have any skin in the game as far as building this franchise, like the early 70s or even into there was a couple of times that they went to the World Series or they made it to the championship after
team, by the way, Mac. They didn't support that team except in the playoffs of World Series. 4,000 people for regular season games in 1973. I mean, they never supported this.
So is that just an Oakland thing? Because we could say the same for Mark Davis.
I mean, I Keith, maybe so. You got a point. I mean, I'm not saying that they were the most supportive, but there are places in the Oakland area, maybe not directly in the city of Oakland, and there are people out there in that Oakland area, millionaires and billionaires that would buy this team, and they would stay in Oakland. So let me tell you how smart this new owner is. He's gonna go to Vegas, but yeah, there's no agreement with Vegas, right? There's no spot for him to go. There's no stadium built for him there. He's going to go to this minor league place, but yet there's things that have to be done for him to go to that minor league place there. The turf has to be replaced. There's a lot of things that have to be done for him to go to Sacramento. I think it's Sacramento, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
So that's not really in place for him either, especially next year. So what does he do? I mean, if he can't go to Vegas, he can't. If he can't go to Sacramento, that doesn't look like it's going to happen. Where does he play?
If the A's have no place to play next year and they don't play, is anybody really going to even notice? That's my question.
I think baseball fans would.
If they forfeit the year, they're still only in last place in the West.
Exactly. They're still last place. So.
That's terrible. That's terrible. If we have any Oakland fans out there, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about Keith's attitude.
I want to apologize for that. I'm sorry. You Oakland fans didn't support this team when they were winning World Series in the 70s. I don't feel bad for you. Well, the only thing I will say is they had horrible facilities. The Coliseum's a horrible place to play baseball. So I'll give the fans that much. But, they've never really gone out and supported this team when they were good, bad, or indifferent, except when they were getting to playoff games. That's it. They show up then.
Well, it's not like the city didn't lose every other professional sport also. I mean,
good point.
Everyone moved out of town.
Yes, that is true.
I mean, right? The Raiders gave them 2 shots and they still moved away. I think that was more of it. They did support the Raiders. The fans supported the Raiders. The Raiders wanted a new stadium and they couldn't get it, so they left.
I mean, the Warriors moved also. I mean, everybody's left Oakland.
Yes. Yeah, they have. I guess you're all right. I kind of feel like that's an historical. I mean, to me, that's a team that's been around for a long time. It was. I forget if they came from Kansas City or some other city, moved to Oakland. Philadelphia, thank you.
Originally, yes.
Thank you, and ended up moving out there. And I guess they didn't like him in Philadelphia either. I don't know what happened there.
Philadelphia, then Kansas City, then Oakland, and
yes, and that was it. James, I mean, can you see him moving to maybe to Canada, or maybe do they go? Do they go? I mean,
to Montreal.
I mean,
I mean, I would love to. I mean, why? I mean, I don't think I heard everything regarding Vegas. Why can't they move to Vegas?
Because there's no stadium built for them, and the agreement has not been finalized yet.
Yeah, they're still not finalized.
Oh,
in fact, their mayor even said you should try and stay in Oakland.
Right, there you go. So
coming out of New Orleans, they could use you.
You want the A's in New Orleans?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
huh?
Maybe.
Do you guys not have a AAA team?
They did. I mean, I don't know if they still do the Zippers, but
when they go to Sacramento, you should take the Sacramento Bees to New Orleans. You'll be better off than getting the A's.
But that may be a valid point. I mean, maybe there, with LA, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of teams. Maybe down in New Orleans, Arizona, maybe they can get a fan following down there.
So if they say they do go, do you move them out of the West and try and move closer to the West? Try and move someone that's closer to the West into that division?
Well, if they stay in Arizona, it still would be considered the West. I would South or West, right?
Arizona, yes, they'd be in the West for sure.
They still could stay in
Arizona,
West.
yeah. We're talking about New Orleans, right? So,
right.
If that was the case, would you be finding someone else to take their spot in the West?
Well, sports leagues haven't always been good with geography because the Saints played in the NFC West for decades, right?
Yeah.
Well, and so did the Rams were still part of the West even when they were in St. Louis. So I mean, I get it, but at the same time, they do like to combine things from time to time.
Dallas, thank you. Dallas Cowboys is still in the NFC East. I mean, so I mean, I don't see where that would change if they don't want it to. I mean,
Again, all sports have trouble these days with geography. The Big Ten, which is the Big 18, by the way, not the Big Ten, they can't even count in higher education these days. It stretches from Los Angeles to East Rutherford, New Jersey. So, you know.
Well, I think it's smart.
They couldn't figure out a playoff. Just because it's college sports doesn't mean they went to college.
Southeast Conference has teams in Oklahoma.
I think it's smart not to change the name of the number because the way it fluctuates now, Keith, they might be right in about 10 years, you know? So
They might be right. They might be right.
a lot of paperwork is saved that way. Real quick, we're getting to the top of the hour here. Major League Baseball. How about the Padres? I mean, the Padres came out of nowhere. I mean, they were like, they were tied with San Francisco, I think, at one time, and they came all the way back. They kept winning. They kept coming. The Dodgers have gone up and down a little bit. Arizona is starting to go up and down a little bit. But the Padres have really played really well the last month. And last night to clinch playoffs on a triple play and only be 2 games behind the Dodgers, you know, who knows? What is there, 5 or 6 games left, guys?
It's 5, yeah, for most. I mean, everybody 5. Yeah, everybody's got 5. Listen, the Padres are playing great baseball. There's them and the Tigers have both come out of nowhere. The Tigers were 55 and 62
right
not long ago. They got the best record in baseball the last 40 or 45 games, and I think the Mets are second. So those are 2 great stories as we head into the playoffs. Tigers haven't clinched anything yet, but the Padres have always had a lot of talent, and they just haven't been able to get over the hump here. And they played some great baseball, and they could still. I'm not sure who they're playing as they finish the season, but if they have the Dodgers, they got a shot to win this. Oh, Danny's not listening right now. They're going to have a shot to win this if they get the Dodgers at all, and I'm not sure that they do. I'm going to look right now.
Well, don't they have 2 more games against the Dodgers right now, right? I mean, that was the first game.
Yeah, they got 2 games, 2 more games coming up against the Dodgers. So, and then they finish with 3 against Arizona, which will be big as well. Yeah, because they're all important in the wild card race. So,
agree. I mean, this is probably one of the most interesting playoff races that I remember. I mean, with Arizona falling up, the Mets going, and Atlanta beating them back down. I mean, this, Seattle having a chance, and then Houston saying no, you don't. I mean, this is really exciting to me. This last few weeks.
That isn't normal. I'm used to my Mariners getting smoked, like missing the playoffs by 3 games. We're on pace.
You're on pace. Okay.
By the way, I'd be remiss if bringing up Seattle Mariners. I know last week we were getting on Robles for his attempted steal of home, and that very same night, J-Rod gets picked off third base for running almost in a dugout when a bat went flying.
What was that about? Like, you get out of the way of the bat and then you go back to the bag. Like, he was going to go get a hot dog or something. Like, I have no idea where he was going.
He's like 60 feet away from the bat, and he's still going towards the dugout. Like, oh my gosh.
Hey, listen, Keith, being a Yankee fan, we can't make too much fun of him, especially when a player that we got decides he's going to go to home.
Listen, Gleyber Torres has one of the best. His theory on base running is just run till you get tagged. That's it.
It is. He never played pickle. I mean, remember pickle? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He never played that, Keith.
All or nothing.
Yeah.
That's it.
Unbelievable, these guys.
Unreal. Some of these guys are unreal. Why don't they teach players? I mean, don't they teach players this anymore?
They're not important anymore. All that matters is exit velocity and lift. Launch angles. Excuse me. And we don't care about the rest of the stuff.
I mean, some of this, it definitely shows that everyone got a trophy when they were in Little League.
That's great.
Guys, there you go.
Yes, thank you. Folks, we're at the end of our show. Keith Engel's up after us with the college football sports huddle or college sports huddle. I'm not sure. I think it's college football sports.
I don't get your shows wrong. Get my show.
You don't? Holy God. Well, mine's easy to remember, Keith. You keep switching the names.
Yours isn't even what it says up here in the corner here. It says,
I don't know what it is anymore, Keith. I don't even know what to call this show. I don't.
National Streaming Sports National Sports Show. That's
there you go. That's why I shortened it. We're going to keep changing. As long as we keep talking about controversial stuff, we're going to keep changing the name so that nobody can track us. Anyway, folks, Have a great Wednesday. We'll see you soon on all our different shows. Have a great one, and be sure to watch Keith after this. Have a